Hey everybody, this is Sean and this is the Avoiding Avoidance Podcast, Episode 1. I'm Sean and this is,
Christina.
and nice to be here with you guys again. It's been an eventful week
Yeah,
since the last podcast. It hasn't even been a full 7 days yet, but
we appreciate all your feedback.
and yeah, we definitely appreciate the feedback and all the listens and comments and advice and just genuine interest we got in the podcast. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, you have anything you want to add, or we want to just dive right into it this week, man?
I'm ready to just go right into it. It's loaded.
All right, we're gonna go through a couple topics this week. This week we're gonna go through something pretty deep to a lot of us. I'm sure it's losing people and how we deal with losing people. And you want to start there,
Um,
or you want me
yeah,
to
I
start
mean
there?
it's a lot, so I've got to think about how exactly I want to portray everything. But I mean, as you guys know, I recently released my what I call my life story about what's happened to me when I was a kid. And for those of you who didn't hear it, I'll insert a little trigger warning here, just because it's about abuse. And when I was about 9 years old, I was molested by my married in uncle, not my blood uncle. Not that that matters. But anyway, that happened. And as a result, I've lost a lot of family members because a lot of them decided that they want to support that kind of thing, which is honestly a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah. So you just had to. I know. I already know personally, but you had to cut off a lot of your family members because they chose to still support that person, not you.
Yeah, and it's really tough because I of course grew up with all of these people, and now I haven't contacted them in years, and it's just such a difference from what I grew up with, having different types of family events, different summers, different people to talk to when something great or bad happens. It's just really a different world for me. Um, so yeah, it's just hard for me to talk about. So it's hard to get into words.
Okay.
But I think I'll jump back to it, but I'll pause my story there.
Okay. I just want to ask a question. Is that one of the first times you had to deal with losing people? Like,
Yeah, I mean it's my first big thing. I mean I've lost friends here and there, but nothing as life altering as this.
okay. Um,
How about you?
for me, losing people has been more about death. Uh, I stated before I'm from Camden, New Jersey, and it's pretty crime ridden area, pretty poor area, and within the last just this year, I lost 3 people already. But within the past 5 years, I've lost at least 20 people that I was very close to, and yeah, it's a little different than your situation when um, these people are still around
Right.
than to lose people due to some unknown circumstance. Like I said, for example, one of my friends was hit by a stray bullet,
Right.
and that's just something that happens normally there. My best friend was killed in a drunk driving accident, and with this disorder, when you have people you can confide in, it really, really hurts when you lose them,
Yeah,
and to lose them so rapidly. Like I said, within like the past 5 years, it's been like 20 people.
yeah, that's really tough. I don't know how you go through that.
Yeah, and then besides that, you have to worry about the people that are alive that, for me, don't just understand my disorder, and it's causing me to lose them. Like I don't. Some people just. Some people still to this day just tell me, oh, you're antisocial. Get out of it. Just go. Just come with us and we'll talk. And if I don't, or just go do whatever they want me to do. And it's like that silly age old argument. Like it's all in your head. Like this. Oh, I know that, but
What can you do about it?
yeah, I can't just turn it on and off. So there's people I lose due to the disorder. Like I think me and my mother go through our challenges because I have this disorder. I think she doesn't understand that I can love her and still not be 100% comfortable around her. You know, it's not like with you, I'm 100% comfortable. I can talk about anything around you. But there's only very few people that I could do that with. There's about 5 people that I can be open with completely.
And if you lose them, of course, it's harder.
Yeah, if you lose those people, then it hurts more. And it hurts more, like I said, when those people, for me, are like, personally, I've dealt with death a lot because I've dealt with death since I was young. So it hurts more for me when the people are alive and I can't communicate with them well, or we don't talk, or they get. I had someone straight up tell me that they're tired of me. They said they're tired of this antisocial shit that I do. It makes them embarrassed when I'm around people and I'm quiet and I don't speak up and I get stuttery sometimes when I talk. And I was like, whoa, like, dude, like, yeah. And
Wow.
so that hurts a bit more to me than dealing with the death. But I know that's a whole different story. And yeah, you opened up a lot lately, so I just opened up a little bit more. As you know, my great grandmother. That's not losing someone in death or losing someone because of their own your own issues. That's because she's my grandmother has Alzheimer's and she's losing her cognizance and awareness of the world. So
It's tough.
it's losing a person in a completely different way.
Yeah.
And the person I used to be able to tell everything, it's hard to keep up with anything now. And it's a little hard, but man, yeah, there's a lot of ways you can lose people with this disorder, without this disorder. Is there anything you want to add to that? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard, especially with having a mental health illness, to lose people because, like you said, you can only open up to so many people, and not being able to speak with them in the same way, in whatever, for whatever reason, it's just tough to move on and be able to continue opening up to somebody else.
it kind of damages what you. It kind of damages you. Like, you're more skeptical about open up to the next person because of what the previous person did.
Yeah. Even though you know logically it's, you could find other people, it's just really hard to break through that.
Yeah, everyone's not the same. Everyone's not going to treat you the same way that the other person did.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't. I don't want to get too deep into this topic all at once because it's like it's heavy. It's a lot. It's a loaded thing, and I just want to know how if there's any ways anyone else has dealt with losing people, especially in relation to having these avoidant disorders, or maybe just in other ways that you don't think were related to your avoidant disorder. But we just want to know how people deal with that because we're all here to help each other find different ways to cope.
And please, if you want to be anonymous, let us know, and we promise we will make it completely anonymous, and you don't have to worry about us leaking something you don't want
Yeah,
leaked.
if you give us directions, explicit directions, use this name, use this date, use this whatever it is, we will follow it explicitly. Point A through B. Like it's not a problem to keep your anonymity.
Yeah, and we really appreciate the feedback. It would really help beef up the show if we can have interactions from people all over the world and see how we all deal with the same types of issues.
And yeah, again, I just want to point out that we're not we're not trying to come off like therapists or self help people or something like. We just want to create a community where people can open up.
Yeah,
We want to
definitely.
create dialogue about these things instead of everyone just sweeping them under the rug and just or having that same standard of, oh, it's just all in your head, or these people are overreacting, or these people are antisocial. I want everyone to just be able to open up and talk about these things.
Yeah.
All right. And another thing I wanted to talk about this week is a thing I've been seeing a lot in these different communities with social anxiety disorders, with AvPD, with generalized anxiety, is people saying they have multiple versions of themselves.
And not just multiple personalities.
Yeah, not like multiple personalities or anything like that. More like they're one way around their family, they're one way around their friends, they're one way around strangers, and all of those things might conflict with one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like me, I could be a very vulgar person sometimes. I swear a lot, and I try not to do that here, but that's just another thing. Like you see, I treat this differently than I treat my regular life with my friends,
Mm-hmm.
which is something I have to get over because I think that's my disorder. I think naturally I'm a very boisterous, talkative, assertive kind of person, but the disorder makes me like tone everything down.
Yeah.
Makes me be what I think people want me to be instead of just being myself.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, you feel like for example, like though I don't feel like I would ever be able to act the way I act around my friends, around someone I work with.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Like that's just not like, even if they're a work friend, it's a completely different vibe than a real friend.
Yeah.
And or for example, talking to my mother is a completely different way than the way I talk to you. And not just on the scale of the things we talk about or the nature of things we talk about, but the way I talk, the way I address things, and the way I articulate myself around her is different than the way I would articulate myself around a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people have that issue. Do you have any specific examples? I think your example, your biggest example, I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
put you out there, but we said we were going to talk about it. Is with like talking to an authority figure specifically versus talking to someone who's not an authority figure.
Yeah.
So like your parents or your boss.
Yeah, I find myself freezing or unable to say what I truly think in front of these types of people. And it's not intentional, but my brain just seems to shut off around them, and I can't really function the way I feel like I should around them. Um, I mean, I feel like my professional slash authority figure thing, like my parents, is even different from how I am with strangers. Because with strangers, I barely say a word, and I could not talk for like an hour at a time because I'm just not that comfortable. But then with my friends or you, I feel a lot more outgoing. Actually, even between my friends and you is still different.
Right.
It's like my friends, I have like this outgoing party type personality, but then when I'm home, it's more like I mean, it's still kind of that way, but it's a little more toned down, I would say, because I'm not like hyperactive like with my
Right.
friends.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you that. Is that something to do with me, or is that more something to do with you? Because
I guess.
I'm a very big
Yeah.
on being exactly who you are when you're around me.
I think it's more me. I mean, my friends, it's more of an amplified personality than true
Okay, so it's like when I'm with
personality.
my friends and
Yeah.
I'm like pretty much like, I hate saying the life of the party, but I'm like one of the main people
Yeah, it's
talking and the
different.
main
It's
people
different.
conversing, and yeah, I'm like the center of like a lot of the conversation and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Okay, so that's how it is with your
Yeah.
friends. Okay. So yeah, that's understandable, but um how about for all right, I'll change the way I was going to phrase that. Why do you think it is that we feel the need to create these other personalities around people? Like there's such thing as code switching,
Mm-hmm.
which is like changing the way you talk based on who you're talking to. So if you speak slang and shorthand language with your friends. You might speak more professionally and use bigger words and try to articulate yourself better when you're going for a job interview.
Right, which is natural, I feel like.
But for things that aren't a job or something that this is basically just you're building a relationship with a person. So why do you need to pretend to be something else?
I have no idea, actually. I don't feel like it's intentional at all. It's just like the switch is automatic.
Yeah.
And I don't know what even prompted that in the first place, but for some reason there's just different facets of me for everything.
Okay, so for me, like I said, it's the avoidance.
Yeah.
It's the I. If I know the person, I just put it plain and simple. If I know the person doesn't like country music, then oh, I won't listen to country music around them, and you'll never hear me talk about that type of stuff. Or if I know the person has no history with living in an area like Camden, like where I grew up, I don't talk to them about my PTSD from seeing people get their heads blown off or seeing a person almost decapitated when I was 8. Like I don't talk to people about that aren't from that background. So it's like trying to people please. It's like trying to not. It's trying to conform. That's the word I want to use. It's trying to conform to what I think a person wants me to be. If there's a person I feel like they're very conservative in the way they talk and they don't curse and they don't use certain language, then I won't use certain language and I won't curse around them. And
Yeah.
it's just because I don't want to be rejected. I don't want them to go, oh, I don't do that. So this person is wrong for doing that. So I just
Yeah.
kind of hide my true self under all of that, under whatever everyone wants me to be.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like part of that's human nature to conform with what's going on. Like, if everyone is talking a certain way, then eventually you're gonna also talk that way, whether or not.
Right.
I mean, it's just kind of natural. You have
Right.
to kind of fight against it. So I don't know if that's part of
So
it.
being yourself is no. I think we can all agree. Just no matter what's going on, what disorder you have or don't have, being yourself is a challenge in general.
Yeah, especially in certain environments over others.
Being 100% yourself, I'll say,
Yeah.
because there's always going to be something. Like you and someone might be best friends, but if you don't have the same political views, you probably will never talk politics.
Yeah.
Just that simple. And they won't know your views on that, and you won't know their views on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, like we said, all these topics are open for discussion by you as well. We want to know everyone's opinions on all of the topics. So, do you have multiple not multiple personalities? I don't want to say that. Do you have multiple versions of yourself? Do you have multiple ways you communicate? Do you quote unquote code switch when you talk to different people? We want to know. We want to know all of that.
I mean, to be honest, if someone does have a multiple personality disorder, I'm also
Also,
curious to hear
yeah,
that.
yeah, definitely, because I don't, like I said, we're not therapists, so we just want to find the commonalities between all these different disorders and how they affect us on the daily. So if you have any knowledge of that too, we're not excluding you from this at all.
Yeah, just curious how everyone is in their different social aspects of life and how they deal with that.
Yeah. All right, and we're gonna lighten things up a little bit here with doing our we don't know what we're gonna call it yet, but right now we're just gonna call it our one positive thing segment. It's just gonna be we're gonna try to get everyone to talk about one positive thing they did this week or that they had happen to them this week because I feel like no matter how bad your week is, there's always one thing, at least one thing that's positive.
Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
I don't think so. I'm still thinking about it. Do you have anything in mind yet, or no?
One positive thing from this week. I did deal with something that I normally wouldn't have dealt with well.
Okay.
So I guess that this is positive for me, but it starts out in a negative light. I had someone, as I told you since the last podcast, they told me that I was faking having AvPD because there's no way I could have AvPD and be willing to put my feelings out into the world because I'd be too afraid of rejection. I'd be too afraid of what people thought because people with AvPD have a big fear of being inept or inadequate or inferior to others. So there's no way that I can be putting myself out into the world without with me having AvPD. I normally would have just broke down. That normally would have made me want to take all the videos down. That normally would have made me want to just quit because it's it felt like such a personal attack. Like why am I trying to do something positive and someone's trying to hurt me negatively? But this time, I just I told them, you know, I'm sorry they feel that way because I know how hard it is to be at that bottom point of AVPD where you don't feel like you'll ever be able to talk about your feelings, when you feel like you'll never take another picture again, when you feel like you're never ever going to go out with your friends again because you had an embarrassing moment. I know how that feels to be at that bottom. So I just, you know, told them that I'm sorry if it comes off that way, but I do understand what the struggle is. And for me, that just simply being able to reply to them was extremely extremely positive for me because I cannot normally address things like that. I normally have to it normally takes me, you know, days, and you know, just like you, I have to write things down sometimes before I confront someone about something. But that was a big thing for me. That was a big hurdle I had to overcome, and it made me feel good about myself that I actually could defend myself and not offend anyone else, if that makes sense. Like I could defend myself without hurting anyone else's feelings
Yeah.
and without jeopardizing the way I felt about myself. So that was a big positive thing for me. That was something that was a little fear I conquered, and one other little fear I conquered this week is getting onto a crowded elevator, which you know I can barely ever do.
Yeah.
I always take the stairs, but I just thought about it as people. That those people are probably just as uncomfortable as I am in that elevator. They all just trying to get to somewhere like I am, and we're all crowded in there. So that was a huge step for me, and it went positively. So next time I won't, you know, hesitate about doing it again.
That was two positive things.
That was two positive things, but yeah. Good. You have one positive thing, or are you still thinking?
I mean, I just thought about how this could be positive, but the whole thing with my cousin this week, as you know, basically related to a family member that I had to cut off because of supporting this pedophile that's kind of ravaging my life at the moment. But she used to be like my big sister to me, and when this person got out of jail, she decided to continue to support him, and that really hurt. And it's been what, 5 years now, and
Yeah, 5 years.
nearly every year since then I've been trying to have a conversation with her about her decisions and trying to validate within myself why she supports this guy. And this week I specifically had a nightmare, or actually it was the opposite. It was a dream, like a hopeful dream that things were the way I expected them to be, and
Like you got your big sister back.
yeah, basically. And I woke up wanting to get that.
Right.
And then after a lot of thinking, I decided I need to be strong about this, and if someone has it in them to make a decision such as supporting a pedophile, then I shouldn't be interested in talking to them anymore. And it was very difficult for me not to reach out to this person because I seem to have this weakness every year where I try to talk to them, and I'm trying to power through not talking to them.
So your positive is that you were strong enough to realize.
Yeah.
So breaking a bit of a dependency almost.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's almost a self harm where I just constantly try to hurt myself by.
It's like going back to someone who hurt you over and over.
Yeah. It's kind of like an abusive relationship.
Right.
So I feel like I'm starting to break that cycle where I'm not obsessed with looking at their Facebook pages, their websites, their whatever, trying to be interested in what they're doing. You know, It's a lot, but I feel like I'm starting to break that cycle.
So you're starting to not focus on what they're doing because it's hurting you.
Yeah.
So you're starting to focus more on yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I like that. You know, I'm very big. I told you I was proud of you this week. I
Yeah.
was very surprised when you made that decision to just go, you know what? I don't need them.
Yeah. I mean, I still am back and forth about it, but I feel like my final decision is going to be to leave it alone like I should.
Right.
Because I know that's what's right for me.
Right. And, you know, I support you 100% with that.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, um, that's a pretty positive thing right there. That's a big step that you took.
And I'm interested to know about you and, how all of this started about. Like, what do you think caused this disorder? Or do you even know?
Um, well, you opened up a lot this week, so I'll give like a brief little overview of just what some things that happened in my life. I grew up in Camden, New Jersey, and it's a like I said before, it's a pretty dangerous place, and I think part of the AvPD comes from it not in a place where there's a lot of violent people and a lot of angry people and a lot of murderers and people who there's a lot of people that could hurt you, or there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. You don't tend to socialize with people. That's one thing I feel like did it. So I lived in Camden from when I was born till I was 20 years
Something
old.
like that, I think, yeah.
20 21 years old. So I lived there my entire life. So it's not the most sociable of places to live. That's one of the things. I was also, as you know, I didn't have my father in my life, so I've always felt some sort of neglect. Like, why would someone have a child and then not be there for them?
But do you think if he was around, that things would be
I
different?
think I think a lot of things would be different. I might still have ABPD because of other things in my life, but I feel like I would be a different person for sure because a lot of the things I grew into are because I didn't have my father around. And like I said, I didn't have my father around, and then later in my life, you know, I got kicked out of my mother's home, and I had to go live with my grandmother. So at that point in time, I was about 15, 16. And this is when like young adulthood is when like this ABPD and these anxieties and stuff really start to kick in.
Right.
So now I've always not had my dad in my life, and it feels like my mother has just kicked me to the curb.
That must
So
have been rough.
yeah, just felt like no one wanted me, and my family already isn't close, so I already feel like, you know, I don't have many people to talk to. So when that happened, I felt like I had no one but my grandmother, and I feel like that is part of what gave me the ABPD. I feel like I don't feel like that's what gave it to me. I feel like there's a lot of things that had happened before, like I said, that culminated to it. But when I remember the specific well, to be completely fair, I've been diagnosed with ABPD since I was 9. So
Wow.
before any of this stuff even happened, I was diagnosed with ABPD, but I didn't understand what it was until
Right.
my when I got kicked out by my mom. I sat there one night and I was like bawling my eyes out. Like, my mom doesn't want me, my dad doesn't want me, I have no friends, my family members don't want to hang around me. There's something wrong with me. And that's when I actually went back and talked to my therapist at the time again. And I was old enough at that point to understand because I was just avoiding going to the therapist. So the therapist explained to me that these feelings that I have of inadequacy, these feelings I have of not being good enough are justified, that they're part of my disorder, that they're not just me over exaggerating like I was always told, or being told I was just antisocial, or whatever it may have been that someone was telling me, that my feelings were valid. And like I said, it made me feel so much better to know that there was a a a, a reason why I was acting like this. When my mother was told at about 9 years old that I was had AvPD, she is one of those people that's, oh, it's mind over matter for everything. You can always conquer anything. So she didn't believe
Right.
that I had these problems. Now she knows for a fact that
It's truly a thing.
it's truly a thing and it's affected me deeply. And now she's pretty understanding about it. But back then she didn't understand it. So if my parent didn't understand it, how was I supposed to work through it? They're the one that are supposed to help you get through things like mental disorders and sicknesses and illnesses. And if she didn't believe in it, like I wasn't going to believe in it because obviously she's my mother and whatever she says is, got to be for the best in me. So it took a long time to feel validated. And once I did feel validated, I started to see in my life. Once the therapist told me that to look in my life for other signs of the avoidance, I looked everywhere and I could see it everywhere. I could see it in sometimes lying to my friends about why I don't want to hang out with them, being unable to properly express my emotions to people because I'm scared they're going to. Where I'm from Camden, it's you're kind of considered soft if you express your feelings. Like the guys in the hood don't know what PTSD are.
Right.
I mean, is they don't know what PTSD is. They don't care what PTSD is. They probably seen people murder their entire lives, and they don't process that. So I was surrounded by that. So yeah, we edited a bit out there, but anyway, I was saying I was surrounded by that super like machismo, like that macho energy, like suck it up and stiff upper lip, and all that stuff. So it was already an environment where people didn't process trauma and people didn't process their problems. So I just thought I wasn't supposed to either. And I think basically it made me put myself and my feelings to the back of my head. You know what I mean? I put all of my feelings to the back of my head, and I think that is part of what made me avoidant because now when people would always ask me when people would finally ask me how do you feel, and people would genuinely care, I would just always go, oh no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Oh, there's nothing wrong. I can deal with it on my own. I'm strong. And I find now that it's a lot stronger to deal with these emotions than to avoid them.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been doing this, this podcast, to, tackle these things head on that I'm afraid of. All right, so there was no editing done there or anything weird. This conversation just started naturally again like this. No, I'm just kidding. We edited some things out there. Some things I weren't ready to talk about yet, basically. Um, don't worry, you guys. You'll see us grow, and I'm sure throughout this channel you'll see me open up about a lot of things that I wasn't previously able to open up about. And same for my co-host.
Yes.
Can I call her my
Definitely.
fiance on here instead of my co-host?
Well, you just put that out there, so I guess now.
Yeah, Christina's my fiance.
It was supposed to be a hidden secret.
No, we've been together for 7 years, and we've been engaged since the new year, 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so there's no secrets between us. You guys can know that this is ran by us, and we're a couple, and we both will be using the avoidance platform to help other people and help ourselves.
Yeah.
So speaking of helping ourselves, did you have anything you wanted to vent about this week? Anything you needed to let out?
Oh, the list can go on endlessly. But I mean, today I was venting because I'm a veterinary technician and my boss is,
A psycho.
yeah, let's go with that. She's a psycho. But not in like a, hey, maybe you should check out a therapist kind of way. It's more like no logic is involved with anything she does ever.
Right.
I'm surprised that she's a doctor, to be honest. Like, it's just amazing that she's made it this far. But she constantly gets mad at me for things that, I mean, there are things where I do make mistakes, and I take blame when that's true, but there's things like today that she gets very upset over that I have no control over. And for someone with generalized anxiety disorder, just general anxiety, it's really, really hard to have a productive or even normal mood day because I'm constantly worried about what I'm doing wrong to get in trouble when I also know objectively that I'm not doing anything wrong. It's just really hard to
So you're
manage.
worrying about worrying.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes it comes true where I get in trouble over something I know that's not wrong, and I can tell myself it's not wrong, but it's my boss.
So if she
So
berates you, you feel like it's justified because she has the authority. She
she
has the
has
power.
that power.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's difficult. I mean, it's a cat clinic, so there's I mean, the things that can go wrong can vary from something as stupid as I don't know, petting a cat wrong to as dangerous as, you know, making a medical mistake that can jeopardize a cat's life. And luckily I haven't made that mistake yet, but there have been situations where she treats it that way, such as me suggesting a client go get food from X store instead of Y store that she would actually prefer. And it's ridiculousness like that that drives me crazy and I
And
just
it's sorry to cut you
yeah.
off, but it's something you know is so small and insignificant, but it still hurts your feelings.
Yeah, it's just really hard for me to rationalize. Actually, I can rationalize it, but it's hard for me to function through. Like when she got upset with me about this whole food situation that's just too ridiculous to explain. That was probably around 10 or 11 a.m. and my mood has been completely blown the rest of the day because I'm just like how can something so insignificant cause this much anger in a person and why can't I get over it?
Okay. Do you think part of it is to do with you like having I believe like I said you have with the generalized anxiety, I believe you have some avoidances,
Yeah.
and I believe not being able to speak up when she does things like that kind of is what do you think that's part of what kills your mood is that you know that
Yeah.
you're in the right
I'm bottled up.
and you don't want and you can't say anything because it's your boss.
Yeah. And I mean, even along those same lines, there's times where there's nothing going on for the day, and she often sends somebody home early. And I'd love to be home early. No one would ever turn that down. I mean, I'll regret it when the paycheck comes,
Right.
but I'd rather go home. And I can't even ask her if I can go home early because I'm that terrified of her. I don't know if it's her because she's my boss or if it's my anxieties that I can't ask somebody something like that they would potentially have less respect for me for. So I struggle constantly at work and it's frustrating.
Again, the thing with the authority figures, it's even worse when it's an actual authority figure and
Yeah.
not just someone who seems like one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How
I
about
told
you?
you I had that problem before with bosses too, with just being able to stand up to them. But once I did it once I stood up to one person who was an authority figure, it made it easier to
I could see
stand up to
that.
the rest of
Yeah.
them.
I
But
just gotta get the balls to do that the first time.
yeah, you'll get them. You're
Yeah.
getting there. You're opening up a lot, and you're becoming better at expressing yourself. And I feel like I'm going to see you grow into that. Anything that I wanted to vent about this week?
I don't know.
I already vented about the person telling me I didn't have AvPD.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, okay. Um, I also had someone confront me and say that they think they implied that I was going to just take people's personal things from all over the internet, all over these AVPD groups, social anxiety groups. They were saying that I'm just going to take people's stories and put them out there. And why would I do that? Like, I'm trying to create a safe space and a welcoming community. Why would I put someone's secrets out there? That doesn't make anyone feel safe.
right.
If I want someone to if someone wants to tell their story, I want them to tell their story on their terms. And if they want to be anonymous, they can be anonymous. If they don't want to be anonymous, they don't have to be anonymous. If they want me to use different names and acronyms, if they want me to call everyone a color, I don't care. I want everyone to be comfortable opening up here.
It's more empowering that way, definitely.
It's definitely more empowering. Like I said, Some people are going to DM me directly about their stories. Some people might just comment their stories on the YouTube comments.
Yeah, with
And
their name and everything, and not worry about
yeah,
that.
that's their prerogative to do so. But I also want the people who want to be private to be able to be private. But it just threw me off that someone would suggest that I was trying to take advantage of people just for like clicks or something. I don't want
That's
to.
not what this is.
I don't want to put someone's story. I don't want to. The whole point is to get someone to open up. So I don't want someone to open up and then be like, haha, I got you. And now your story's all over the internet.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I want. I want people's story to go on the internet because they're ready to vent and open up about that. That's that's something I want to do. That's just something I want to get off my chest. I didn't understand how someone could accuse me of something like that, especially when I'm trying to do something that I consider to be very positive.
Yeah.
Hurt my feelings a tad bit.
Oh.
Yeah, hurt my feelings a tad bit. Yeah, you guys, I just hope you know that I try to make this come off as genuine as possible. I really just hate living with this disorder, and I know other people feel the same way I do, and I just want to shine some light on it so that other people can see that we're not just antisocial and that we're not just making these things up. That this is a real thing that affects people in their daily life, and I feel like everyone has some sort of avoidant habits or avoidances that they deal with, like some people might not like crowded elevators. I feel like you don't have to have a disorder to not like crowded elevators. Some people just might not like crowded elevators, and they avoid crowded elevators because that's an avoidance. And anyway, I don't want any of you to think that I would ever try to exploit that. Also, another thing I want to vent about, I want to thank. Even now, I'm going to thank several people who helped me and supported me through these groups. But I'm just going to say thank you, and you guys know who you are. A lot of you in these groups have gave me the confidence to come here and open up and to be more of myself, and gave me the power to do this podcast. I wouldn't be able to do it without you guys and your support. And even in saying that, I'm not going to say anyone's name because I didn't get permission to say anyone's names. So yeah, just you guys, you know who you are. I talked to you this week about the podcast and other things I'm doing, and I appreciate all the support, and I really appreciate all the feedback. It's really helping me grow, and I hope it helps this community grow and helps this show grow. Yeah, but thank you guys. That's all I wanted to vent about today.
All right. What else can we talk about?
Um, I think that's almost it. I did want to talk about the taking a step thing we wanted to start.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So we wanted to start every week. We talked about it last week. I don't think we had a name for it, but we want to start a taking a step segment where we want to take people's write-ins and also give you what our step. We want to take people's write-ins to get them to take about a step they took in their life that might have helped their disorder. Like if you interacted with someone today, if you went outside today, if you got out of bed today and because you're depressed and you got out of bed and took care of yourself, we wanna know. Like for some people it might be as simple as getting up and taking a shower. For other people it might be, calling that family member you haven't called in a long time. It might be going to that doctor's appointment or setting up that thing you were supposed to set up years ago. I don't know. But my step for this week is going to be to talk to my mother about my feelings of inadequacy towards her. I have these feelings of not being good enough, and it's a big part of what holds me back from not feeling good enough about a lot of things. Because I feel like if I wasn't good enough for my mother, then who am I good enough for? And I feel like that's a step I'm taking this week because I've been saying it for years that I was going to do it, and I feel really empowered lately, especially like I said, with all these people giving me so much support. That's a big thing I'm going to tackle this week. And you have any steps you want to take?
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I
You
can't.
want to talk to your boss?
No, that's quite a step. That's like taking 4 steps.
Okay, all right.
No,
Smaller
I'm not.
steps.
I'm not there yet.
Smaller steps.
Although I do feel like I can try to talk to a or an authority figure, and just trying to think of what I can do to feel more empowered about that, about life, really. Um, I don't know.
You don't have anything on top of your head. You want to take a step in.
Do you have any thoughts about what you think I should do?
I think you should talk to someone about something you wouldn't normally talk to them about. I feel like there's a lot of things that you keep from people, and I feel like if you talk to just one person about something you keep from them, be it your parent, your friend, or like you said, an authority figure, I feel like you benefited from it a lot.
I mean, it might not be a bad idea to talk to one or both of my parents about how I've been feeling lately, because I feel like they know that I'm depressed often, but I think they see it as, oh, she's just sad right now,
Right.
versus what it truly is, where I can't get up and take care of myself some days, and I'm in a constant dull state, and all these things that depression can bring, and I don't feel like they truly understand that. So
They don't get to see you vent like this, like you
yeah,
open up. They don't get this, all this stuff that she's told you guys, even the short segment she did that's called Christina's story about her past abuse. She does not open up to her parents like that. So this is like, that's a big thing. Like
yeah,
neither of us open up to the to our family members in the outside world the way we're opening up here in these platforms. So I think both of us can take a step this week in trying to
communicate.
communicate this stuff we communicate with these people on the internet and through the podcast with real people, with
Yeah,
our family members. So I think you want to shake on that.
yeah, that's
This
shake.
week we can both tackle something that we want to talk to our family members about.
Might even do it tonight.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe I'll help because I have some stuff I want to talk to your parents about too, and maybe that'll be my step for this week. But we want to get you guys to take a step too this week. Whether that's like I said, I'm gonna keep using this stupid example, but stepping on a crowded elevator or going to a store you're normally too scared to go into, or some people I know it's like as simple as telling your significant other you have feelings about something that you are scared to tell them about. You might need to tell your significant other, hey, this thing you do makes me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Any small step. It could be the smallest step in the world. It could be today I today I got up and answered the door for the mailman, which I normally don't do. Like I normally wait for them to go away and then I go get the mail. But
Sometimes that leads to missed packages.
yeah, but yeah, I'd rather miss the package. But yeah, whatever steps you take, we'd like to hear from you this week. And like I said, all of this is about engagement with you guys, and we want this podcast to become as much yours as it is ours. And yeah, so anything you feel like you've conquered or you will conquer, just take a step this week.
And let us know. We next week, or whenever we make this next episode, we'll update on how that step went, and we'd like to know for you how your steps went and how things have been since then.
Yeah, right. And like we said, we want to get your opinions because we want to be able to put your opinions in the next episode
Yeah.
so that other people can see, hey, not just what we go through, but what other people go through and the commonalities between what we all go through.
Right.
All right. And yeah, I think we're about done today. Um there's just a little bit of clarification I wanted to do at the end of the episode here for explaining what the podcast will be in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And so what it's going to be in the future is it's going to be, we agreed on 2 episodes a week,
Yeah.
and the topics are going to be put out each episode. So like the end of this episode, and on the description for this episode, we're going to put up next week's topics. Well, the next episode's topics. So this week we're releasing 2 episodes. So these topics that you're getting this week won't be interactable. We won't be putting up your information on these topics until the following week's podcast.
Right.
So yeah, the next topics are going to be venting and having outlets or the lack of outlets for venting. and I wanted to get deeper into losing people, but I want to get into what you guys feel about losing people.
Yeah.
And the big topic we want is cause and effect of your causes and effects of why you have AvPD. So if you, we want to know why you feel like you have AvPD, or what might have triggered your SAD or your GAD or whatever anxiety disorder you suffer from. So yeah, just hit us at the we're gonna have the email in the description. We're gonna have sorry, I lost train of thought. The email in the description. We're gonna have our personal email addresses, and the our DMs are always open on Facebook and Twitter and everything like that. So any way you feel to communicate with us, you can communicate with us, and we'll make sure it gets on to the next episode. Or if you just want to communicate with us for the heck of communicating with us, you can also do that. We don't have to put your stories out there. We just want this to be an open community.
And just for transparency reasons, I'm not sure what platform you might be listening on, so not everything has the ability to add comments. But our email is avoidingavoidancepod@gmail.com. But other than that, you're welcome to look us up on Facebook. We'll make a Facebook page for our group or our podcast, and
Yeah, and we
you'll
also
reach
use
out
our
there.
personal Facebooks as well.
Yeah,
So, you know, just so there's transparency, so you guys see who we are and what we are. So it's not like we're hiding ourselves from you.
yeah.
And yeah, I go by Quay BDB Thomas L on
On
Facebook,
Facebook, yeah.
and you go by your
Just Christina Webster.
yeah.
Although there's a million of them, so you may have trouble finding us. But as you look for our podcast and our email and all that stuff, you'll be able to find everything eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and I think that's it for this week's first episode. We're gonna have another episode this week. That's a more fun episode, a lighter episode about lighter topics, and you know, because we want to make sure that all of these podcasts aren't just about mental disorders, because we aren't just our mental disorders.
Yeah.
We have current events that we want to talk about. We have things that we want to express our opinions about, but we don't get to because of the disorders. So if you guys have any suggestions for current events or hot topics or anything you want to talk about, then please let us know. And like we said before, feel free to communicate, because this is as much of your podcast as it is ours. And I think that's all I have to say for tonight.
Yep, me too.
All right.
You just keep us updated and let us know what you think about everything. We appreciate the feedback.
And again, I hate saying this corny thing, but always try to avoid your avoidance.
All right, thank you guys.